Hi, my name is Patricia Orzechowski. I'm 61 years old. I've been denied again regarding sexually. The COVID vaccine, the one that they claim is detrimental and supposed to go live. Well, I received an email from school stating on March 26th, you can go to show your ID. I just stated I didn't show my ID, but I did at the pharmacy, my student ID. They denied me March 26th, so I went today and I don't want to come up. And these are the same nice little college students. College students, I don't care if from the Northwest, I don't care if they're from Northwest State, if they're BSN to RN to Defiance College, McMaster's, the Fellows, University of Toledo, Hildebrand, Finley, St. Mary's, Tiffin, Indian Wesleyan, nursing, I could care less. All I know is I've been denied treatment. All I didn't know, I've been denied scheduling. All I know is this is how when they get pissed off, when you piss them off, you are taught, which I wasn't, to hang up. They get mad at you, you hang up. You don't fix their issue. You don't get them their COVID vaccine because what? You have 600 billion reasons not to. You also have, what kind of healthcare act? What kind of health act do you have? So you can claim, oh, you was harmed by the phone call and get how much extra money? And let's talk about the nice little shelters. How much do they get when they leave and claim what? They're harmed. But guess what? ProMedica, nope, the Pass Center, the Sanctuary. Also Cherry Street harmed me because one of their social workers that I found out when I finally came here 4 years after the fact. Last one was 2013 at Cherry Street, I think. Yeah, November 2013. Because I had in October 2013. So I was over there between around early October 2013 at Cherry Street. My niece came and took me, so I had a job in Angola, Indiana. That's how I knew how bad it was, because I asked them to look back in my background check, and I go, well, go check Williams County. I used to live there. The nice little hiring services, temp services, and said, no, you never lived there. You never lived there. You never lived there. Like with per resources with staffing. And my niece said, well, Pat, I can't pick you up because we get pissed, we get bitched. I go, why? But guess what, folks? They exposed me to the COVID vaccine. They exposed me to secondhand smoking. They exposed me to their stuff that I was refused. Not only that, they did a bad job. See? I went to ProMedica. I went to Mercy Hospital. Here in Defiance. I went to Bryan Wellness. I went to Montpelier Hospital in Montpelier, Ohio. The Bryan Wellness was Bryan, Ohio. They could have saw that. They mistreated me. Why? I'm not Pat Orzechowski. The same way let's see, Tony Zuckman, or was it Katie Zuckman of their law firm, Abigail Rum, the Facebook page, the old Facebook page, the phone numbers that they claimed was mine. That they claimed they arrested me when I wasn't living in Eden, when I wasn't living in Bryan, when I wasn't living in Montpelier, but who was? They claimed I used their phone numbers. What phone numbers? I called them for help at the business phone. Now, how is it my fault that they take the phone in here? But everyone knows they have their own little websites. Wow, my phone works now. They have their own little websites. To contact each other, let them know not to, and they are taught. Defiance College does teach them. McMaster's Fellow does teach them. They don't like you. You have to what? Get your clients to do what you want in order to dehumanize them. It's in their books. I wasn't taught that. That was years ago. I did go to Patricia Stevens Career College. I did do some at Northwest State Community, but I also took classes at my work when I worked out in the state of California. Well, when I was working out there, naturally my family would call me. Naturally, I received letters. They said I was in prison. So when I came back here to Williams County, Ohio, where I kind of grew up in Eden, Ohio, Edon, OHON, not EDEN, not EDOM, not DEEDAM, not EATON, EDON, Ohio. It was a city, it wasn't a street, it wasn't in the name, it wasn't the name of a building, it wasn't the name of a nursing home. But that didn't stop these guys being playing God, what we was taught out in California, what the insurance company, because I could, if it was 1980 to 1988, I could literally go up to the legal department where I worked and ask for copies of certain things, and they would have blocked certain stuff out, but I could have asked for them for copies to use in court. They would have given it to me. Naturally, they would have did what they had to protect whoever was in on it. I had no problem. But they would have asked me what the issue was. Like, hey, was it a botched back injury? Was it a botched neck ache? Like my niece, because I know the hospitals here in the Northwest Ohio screwed up my family. They screwed up, as they said, they're not allowing me to take a codivison, which they remember stated as epidemic and pandemic that causes people to die, and they are exposing me to it. And I don't care whether or not I have these false negatives on my CODIV test. They have reasons not to. The reason is why. They was able to get a vaccine. They told them no for me. And when I went to get one, I get mad. And they hang up as schedules. They hang up. And then they block my phone. They don't allow me to schedule a CODIV vaccine. But yet they want me to expose it. Why? How many CODIV variants do they get? That their staff can claim, hey, we got a CODIV variant. Off of which person? As you can see, I'm excitable. But I'm more pissed because of January 1st, 2021, maybe 2020, I was able to get a CODIV vaccine and they stopped me. Through my hypertension, through me being a college student, through me being age 60 and over. But hey, it was an epidemic when I used to live in Cincinnati, Ohio. We could have got it from my mother. In 2018. That's only 8 years later. So if I'm 61 now, 8 would be 54. Mom would be, she's 90, 82. She would have automatically qualified. They stopped me. You know why? They drove all the way down and said I wasn't her daughter. And they was decent students, like nice little social workers. Because one of the social workers I met at Cherry Street at the PATH Center at Sanctuary went to school, take the McMaster Fellow. She programs here. And now you can tell me something. Why junior kids, senior kids who took physiology, exercise science, BN to RN nursing, psychiatry, exercise science, social work, took intro to psychology when I had it. Now, a lot of them did wait until he was a professor. So what, but a lot of them, but guess what? One of them was a social worker that I met at the Cherry Street Mission. Another one was what? Who worked for which one? Recovery Service, Renewed Mind. And they took intro to psychology. I'm sorry, that's a major point. You should be higher than your basic intro to psychology class. You can read that online. You can go to the old nice little old libraries and pick up an old intro to psychology book and do the same thing. You can even go online and do that. So why was college educated, especially McMaster's fellowship programs, doing an intro to psychology class as juniors or seniors? Business, you didn't really need it. It's help. Police, you didn't really need it. It's kind of helps. But for the ones who was taking RN, the BSN, even college, even teaching, intro to psychology, when I took it, and they were seniors and juniors, seemed out of the realm of possibility. Why? They should have been in a higher one. They should have been in the 200. They should have been in the 300 psychology course. They should have been in the one I wanted, the 395. They put me back into the psychology course. And their names, I could easily give you. See, the people who followed and stalked me down at Cincy. Oh, actually, I didn't realize they did, because they was working at McDonald's. They was working at the hotels. They was working at the banks. Why would I think so? I would assume they lived down there. I would assume they worked down there. I would not assume they drive 5 hours a day, go down and work at a bank, go down and work at a hotel, go down and work at a hospital. I could see it maybe once in a while they volunteered. But sorry, if I see them every day, why the 5-hour trip? That's a 10-hour trip every day. So it didn't make sense. So I just assumed they lived on there. Lo and behold, I came back to where I grew up in Williams County, Eden, Ohio, Bryan, Ohio, Montpelier, Ohio, where my sister lived until she passed away with her ex-husband, Tim, and his current wife, Mary. So we came up to visit them, and they was one who wanted Mom to come back up. And the legal authority, law enforcement, doctors, nurses did tell me I wasn't pet. They sent me the documentation. They even told my sister wrote to me out in California. My grandma even mentioned it when we had family dinners, for Easter, the holidays. They even mentioned it to Mom. And guess what? When my cousin Dennis died, my ex-brother-in-law, Tim Allgeier, said we wasn't related to him. But he tried to say, hey, see, I'm related to Carl Hopkins, you're not. And one of the lawyers in Williams County stated they took my name away when I wasn't there. How is that legal? Now they're pissed off. I want to take them to court. And by not treating me for this, exposing me to Cody B, which they claimed is an epidemic pandemic, which helped me, and they do variants, and they get, I don't know how many CARE-Acts they use to get money off of it. They want me what? How many people have died? 500,000 over just the Cody B? And if I'm not treated for hypertension, if I'm not treated for obesity, and remember, if I'm psychotic and I'm not taking medicine, who's supposed to be doing it? Where does my money go to? The third person, the very vicarious liability. They don't have to do it. Or who else goes to it? The sheriff that they claim I'm arrested in which counties? They get the money from me? Also Sue Cheeseman, the former health center where I supposedly stayed? Also Cherry Street? That they use my name, or hey, we had 60. Pat was here when we had 60. Well, next year we expect 80. We just take Pat's name off, but use her because now we have 80. Or they keep continually having the same 80 families that's supposed to be able to be off. And the in-group, the ones within the group that you have to go to get, and they keep telling you, but they keep saying yes to theirs. Anyways, thank you for listening. As I stated, I went again to try my scheduling. They got pissed because I said they caused my death. They did. They also helped my sister because it was diagnosed her cancer until she died 4 months later. They botched my aunt's back surgery. They botched my mixed diagnosis, and all these nice little Cody V thingies that claim negative are positive, because I do know in September, in the fall of 2019-20, I was coughing like all day was. And that was one of the signs of Cody V. And now King's supposed to get a shot. Well, hey, that's what it was when I first came up. We were supposed to get one down there. And remember, they came up here and said, I wasn't Pat. Remember, they use their nice little behavioral systems to monitor who? They use the nice little behavior systems, their social work, to monitor who? And remember, they claimed I wasn't here. Remember, they claimed it wasn't my home, my parental home, that they condemned demolished. A chief stated that to me in his station when I asked him a few things when I went for certain stuff. And he stated George to me, Charlie to me, Chuck to me, a bunch of them to me. And he goes, well, I'll take the fifth when I stated he did what he, as a former corrections officer, did something. He said he's going to take the fifth. No problem. Certain officers said, hey, if you want to sue us, go ahead. No problem. I have no problem with them. I'm happy for them. I'm glad they said that. That's part of the justice system. But it's not the justice system for the chief, for job and family, to deny me documentation to give to court to clear my name. And it's also not illegal for them to state I was a prisoner in prison in Tennessee, in Cleveland, in Columbus, or I was arrested, or I was in jail, or we could do it because of your father, or we grouped your father with anyone. We could care less, and we listened in because your father, excuse me, if you listened in because my father was in prison or in jail in another state, and you didn't tell us, that's illegal. Not only that, I had no problem. I was not born. When could you tell me? When was it my fault? And also when you're nice, ex-social workers, retired social workers, retired health workers, retired this, state stuff to me in church is still illegal. When you say, well, yeah, Pat, we could because you lived above what we had stationed for you. You wasn't supposed to go in California. I wasn't supposed to go to California. I wasn't supposed to have a job. I was not supposed to live above the amount of money they had stated for me. So they made sure they convicted me. They made sure I wasn't there. They made sure we had behavioral health problems. They made sure they told certain things regarding my niece. They made sure we do stuff, and they used it through their phones. Everyone knows that nice little psychiatry prisons uses what? Inside camera, and they talk to them. Who says they don't do that on their phone when they supposedly monitor? What they're doing is they hear it. And I'm supposed to be able to stop them. How? Remember, they allowing the numbers. See this 51574-675-1109, 8 Monday. You know what that is? That's one of the nice little scheduling numbers. The 419-783-6955 is Promedica's numbers. The 833-2424, 1586, or is it 212? Promedica's activation number, technical number, that they had a heck of a time trying to get my chart activated 4 times, and they hang up. And each time, they cause my behavior over the phone. You hang up, don't expect a nice phone call back. Expect them to be worse. They expect you to fix it. So when I learned a long time ago, you let them vent over the phone. You do not hang up. And I learned that was part of my job. If I hung up for what I did to them, I would have been fired in 1980, in 1977, in 1978, in 1979, from 1980 to 1988. Only one word allowed it. And if we got too loud, it was automatic transfer. Remember, these guys do not know how to transfer. They hang up. Oh my God, you're here, we don't want you. Leave. Because they have mental issues. They have disability issues that interferes with their job, that causes us harm because they transfer their medical issues to the clients, to the customers, when the customers don't get what they want. And we're supposed to handle them. I'm sorry, I'm not in school to handle you when you're at school, when I'm at your work. You are supposed to handle that. And you're supposed to handle me as a pissed off person. You don't. You have never handled me as a pissed off person. Not as a phone, not in person. And I really wasn't that bad. We all know the ones that are really bad. You see it on TV. What causes it? You do. Because all you do is hang out. And remember your motto. Remember your contract. You first. We can't help me unless you help me first. You're not helping me. You are not helping me under that contract. I am not going to go there to work to help you. If I want to help you, I will go to your work, buy a product, and help pay the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cents that you get out of that product. I will go to your hospital and help pay the $10 because it's a how much $1,000 bill. If I want to do stuff, I do it as a favor. However, since you guys get paid as volunteers, who owes me money as a volunteer? It was no favor when I decided to help the PASS Center here, when I decided to help Habitat for Humanity, which I was decided to help the walkathon, the cancer. I gave money. I want to help. Well, now, why should I help the PASS Center when they exposed me to cocaine, secondhand smoke, and the behavior issues of everyone else, and I got kicked out for it because they had marks. So tease me, Amy Herman, Brianna Francis, Amy Francis. Also one in 2010. The only people you help, because how much of their nice little grant money do you keep? You can keep how much? 50 to 90% and 10% say which way? You can't help people with 10. But you can if you claim yourself the homeless and you are harmed by those based on the mental behavior issues that you handle. You don't handle them. You just, as you state, pay it forward, transferred according to what one ex-juvenile probation officer. And like how they did at that church. Well, people, she fell at church, hit her head, left her stay there instead of calling an ambulance. They woke her up, took her in the hospital herself. Well, we can't do anything. We got to call what's up. I'm sorry. You could have called the ambulance, and then you could have called the third person and say, hey, your aunt, your mom, your uncle, whoever fell at our church. We called an ambulance. We're calling you. Because he's still within his legal right to stop it. But my guess is no, since she fell and hurt her head. My guess is they would have let her go through. But Pat, they ought to know they're ex-social workers. They're retired social workers. They're retired nurses. They're retired home health care. I don't care. Shows you they don't know how to do things. Oh, separate but equal. Isn't that the hashtag? Separate but inequality. Because you teach not to heal what type of family? What kind of people? You teach them to hang out? You teach them to bully? You deny them service? You deny them education? And you are taught that when? In college. It isn't like I didn't know that. I was kind of taught that in way back when. It just kind of went over my head because I care more about helping people. When you help people, you do not think of yourself, you think of them. Because by helping them or other people like you, I get help myself. I get cheered up by your every little victory, by your improvement, by your smile, by your happiness, which you can't buy. But when you wrote your nice little contracts, and when you wrote in your nice little ethicals, we don't see offenders failing, then how in the world do you know what they did? And then how would you not know the innocent is not in prison for a reason? Or you didn't help because you talked to the offender, you didn't talk to the offender's family. And you don't help the offender's family. Who is a law enforcement related? Which one of the families is an ambulance driver? Which one of the families is a nurse? Which one of the families is a home hospital? Which one of the families is an educator? Which one of the families is a fire department? Which one is EMS? And all they have to do is say, don't help them because they was in prison. I'll kind of quietly tell them at home. So when they go to home, then they tell the people at the bank, because I know certain people at a certain church where I went to was at my bank at PNC in Cincy, was at the bank down in Chase Bank down in Cincinnati where I used to work. I happen to know one of the nice little people who used to go to school, who used to belong to an organization. I worked with her sister, older sister, and they started saying stuff to me. But beforehand, I think somebody knew me by being related to one of my cousins, but I'm not positive. And through them, I heard stuff, but I also heard the same thing in when I went to apply for Bowling Green when I was, 50 years younger, or not quite 50. I was 17, 18. I said no to that. They sent me, I sent it back, and they said it was another Pat. But when I went to college, they had to verify mine through my father who lived in Wisconsin, in the area, Milwaukee. When I got my job out in California, due to what they stated, they had to verify my family out in California where I lived. Who does that to a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old in Northwest Ohio? Williams, Wood, Paulding, Putnam, Henry, Fulton County. And I can list their officers, legal law names, including certain law enforcement and lawyers. Now I can add a few more. And Section 242 says all agencies. That agency does include the PASS Center. That agency does include social work. That agency does include the hospitals. That agency does include EMS. That agency does include job and family. That agency does include who? But as the students, as they said, psychotic. They're supposed to help me with food. They're supposed to help me with clothing. They're supposed to help me with shelter. And they're supposed to pay for it. And I'm supposed to get something so I can live. They have yet to do that. So where is my money that they're getting from the federal government or the state? Because I'm not seeing a cent. It's not in my bank account. They're not feeding me. They're not clothing me. They're not providing shelter. I'm living in a hotel. Off of what? Because these are the same students that went to 1700 East High Street claiming I wasn't Pat. And these are the same ones who went down in Cincinnati stating things regarding it. Matter of fact, I know one who was condemned home. They lived above us. I had their nice little church and that said they're related to that person. Anyways, as you can see, I'm still pissed. So I intend to take them to court, legal court. I can easily prove the house is condemned demolished. I can easily prove my name in all those nice little prisons in Missouri, in Cleveland, in Columbus, wherever they claimed it was. I can also prove that there was Elm Street. But not one was in Ohio, because they told everyone when I was young, I was not that bad. I was not that bad. We didn't live in Eden, we lived in Cleveland. And I bet you there's an old birth certificate from Williams County that has our name on it. My sister wasn't born in the area. We moved there. So if they did anything to us before I was born, because my dad, which they grouped, when did I have a choice? When does internship not start? When did my civil rights not be violent? When did it not hurt my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Because they condemned them out of the home without, and they told their nice little group through their phones, they told police, phone, job and family, that condemned them out of the home, that prevented me from vaccine, that's harming me emotionally, that did something else to my other family, that they told other family, that even my ex-brother-in-law claims I wasn't related, that I have documentation from behavioral health stating I may not be I am not Pat, because I went to Toledo once, I think a long time ago. Or these other phone numbers that the nice little shelters gets to keep. Oh, it's been almost a half hour. Wasn't planning on being that long, but hey, you have a very good day.